the labs, so we call these a lab module. So the very first one is Scientific Method Experimental Design and Isopod Behavior Lab. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when I go into that, this I can't click on. There's nothing there. That's just the title. The first part I can click on is the actual first section. So you see how it's indented on this? So if I go into the Scientific Method Lab, I'm going to get to the information that I need here. Okay? So obviously you should be reading through, and we have similar information in your lab book. Okay? So I'll talk about the lab book in just a minute. So you're reading through all this information. You're looking at some videos that describe some things that we talked about. And when you're done everything on this page, you go to next. Now, you see when I put my cursor over next, it tells me what the next is. The next thing is the knowledge check quiz. So if I click on that, it's going to send me to the next page. Now, some labs, most labs have knowledge check quiz partway through the lab. These are graded, so they're worth some points. These have no time limit. So if you want to take 2 hours to take the quiz, you can. And you're allowed to take it more than once. In most cases, you're going to be allowed to take them 2 times. Your best score, your highest score counts. So if you get 100% on the first try, there's no need to take it again. But if you missed a couple, you're more than welcome to take another try at it, okay? You do need to complete it by the due date, okay? It will only be available, in this case, until June 18th at 11:59 p.m. If you try and take this quiz on June 19th, you will not be allowed to take it, and you will get 0 points. So it is very important that you keep up with the material as you go, okay? So let me go back to the modules. Scroll down to the lab. So this is where I was, that knowledge check. Once you've done that knowledge check based upon this page here, then you can move on to the next page. There's another knowledge check, and then finally the actual quiz. So the actual quizzes won't say knowledge check in them. These are quizzes. And these quizzes you will get 1 attempt at, and your time will be limited. So you won't have 2 hours to take it. It depends upon the number of questions that are being asked and how long it should take you. But these are the sorts of quizzes that if you need to stop and look stuff up, you're going to run out of time. So before you take the quizzes, you need to be prepared. Now the quizzes are open book and open notes, but that's it. You don't get to use any other resources. So you do need to go through the modules. You do need to go through the material, take notes, understand the material that you're doing before you take the quiz. And again, there's a due date for the quiz. So again, in this case, it's June 18th. Now, for the lab modules, the dates are listed for the quizzes. The time that they are due is 11:59 p.m. Okay? Now, if I go back up to the important course information and go to the syllabus, there are some important things on the syllabus that you need to know. This has already been sent to you, so hopefully this is review for you. So you have your book, either the OpenStax, which I already showed you the link to, or you can buy the concepts, Campbell's book, the Essential Biology with Physiology. So the OpenStax is probably your best choice. It's free, okay? All right, I'm going to skip over Mastering Biology for a minute. You also need the lab manual. The lab manual can either be purchased through the bookstore if you want a physical hard copy to touch and feel. I think the price is somewhere just under $30. Or you can get it through Amazon, okay? So there's a link here on the syllabus that you can go to Amazon to get a download of that. You do need a Kindle reader, which is a free app, so that you can actually read it. But you will need the lab manual. Some of the questions on the quizzes actually refer to pages on the lab manual. So you must have a lab manual, okay? Question that Precious had, so all of the quizzes, all of the tests will be open book and open notes. That's the only resource you're allowed. Okay, so if you start to Google things, if we find out, it's not going to be a good thing, right? You're going to get a 0 on that, and probably an appointment with the dean to go visit them. So you're only allowed your notes and your book to use, but all of the quizzes, all of the tests are open book, open notes. Okay, but that's the only resource that you're allowed. So you do need to have a lab manual, and you need to get that from Amazon. The price for that, I think, is $9.99, so it's basically $10. Okay. The third thing that you need to get is something called Modified Mastering Biology. So let me show you that. So this is a product that, yep, a couple people have their hand up. I see Blue has, Mrs. Norma, you have your hand up. Would you like to unmute and ask it, or?
No, my hand is not up. I just don't know how to remove that.
Okay. I think I just did it. You're good. All right, Blue, you have a question?
No, this is Blue. My hand is not
okay.
up. I don't know how to remove the hand.
I saw the hand for Mrs. Norma as well. If you have a question, the access code. Are you talking about the access code for Mastering Biology? Okay. So here's how you get to the Mastering Biology. Once you're in Canvas, so let me just go back to the home page here. You have these tabs over here. Most of what you will be working through are the modules. My Lab in Mastering is the Pearson's product that we're calling Mastering Biology, because that's what they often call it, okay? So if I click on this, it sends me to the Pearson's My Lab in Mastering. If you open this, it will either ask you to enter the access code. If you bought a brand new textbook for about $125, it should come with an access code. It will ask you to enter that, and you're great. If you didn't do that, if you went the cost-effective route and you just use the OpenStax textbook, when you open My Lab in Mastering, it's going to ask you to either enter the access code, which you won't have, or you can register for the product, and it will ask you to pay for it by either PayPal or credit card. Mrs. Norman, if you wouldn't mind sending me the code that you entered, email that to me, and I'll look into it. I can talk to the technician to see why it isn't working for you, okay? All right, if I scroll down a little bit, I see other things. Now, I'm in the instructor view, so yours may look a little bit different. You're probably not going to have the grade book. But what you will have is mastering assignments. So once you get in, once you've paid for the product, which costs just under $50, when you go into mastering assignments, you should see all of the assignments that you have. So the very first one is an introduction to mastering biology for non-majors. This very first one is a very short quiz. It only has a few questions. It's just to see, to show you rather, how to use mastering biology, okay? It does not matter if you get the answers to these questions. Due date, then you get penalized. So this first one is available. We made it available early, so you can take it right now, okay? The due date is the 17th. So in just 2 days, you have to have this one complete. If you don't have it complete by then, you get penalized. I think the penalty that we set all the assignments for was 0.5% per hour. So that adds up pretty quickly if you're, late by a couple of days. So you do want to make sure that you get these assignments in by the due dates. Okay. Now we've only made the first half a dozen available to now. The ones that pertain to the second exam aren't available until you've taken the first exam. So you won't be able to work too far ahead. For most things, you can work a little bit ahead, and that's not a bad thing. But for the Mastering Biology, we want you to kind of go through with the material so you retain it. If you do all of them today, for example, all the way through the end, and there's several of them, by the time you get to the final exam in 4 or 6 weeks, you probably will have forgotten it. So it is a good idea to do these on a regular basis, but please make sure you complete them by the due date. Okay? All right, are there any questions about the Mastering Biology at all? Not seeing any hands up, not seeing any questions in the chat. And again, you can just unmute yourself and talk if you like. So if everybody's good on that, let me close that out. James, is there anything you have to add? Did I miss anything so far?
Not so far. It seems like you got everything you need. Obviously, the other things are going to go on. Plus, I missed the first couple minutes as my computer freaked out. So.
Okay. Well, that's not uncommon with Zoom. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be too surprised with that. The other thing that I do want to kind of mention. So summer school is pretty quick, right? Things go pretty fast because we're condensing an entire semester of 108 hours of instruction into 6 weeks. So it really is pretty important for you to keep up with the material. So the material, I don't think is very difficult, but it is pretty much in terms of volume. So if you fall behind, it's going to be really difficult for you to catch up. So here is the syllabus, and there's a couple of calendars. Keeping track of things is a great idea on a calendar, right? It's basically a to-do list. So notice that the title of this is recommended completion dates. So by the end of today, you should look at the lectures on the introduction and overview. Again, you find that in the modules. You'll see the lecture 1, so there's a YouTube. There's also the lecture modules that have additional information and additional links. All that's going to take a few hours, right? So normally if James and I were teaching this face-to-face, we'd have 3 hours of lecture and 3 hours of lab face-to-face plus your study time. So if you look at this, it should take you a few hours to do. The lab, you should go through that first lab module, okay? And for the Mastering Biology, you should do that introduction and then the chapter 1, the first one that actually has some questions about biology on it, okay? Tomorrow, here's what you should have completed by. Now, these are recommended. This is the pace at which you should be going. If I continue to scroll down, I get to the due dates. And these are critical because if you do not have them in on time, the penalty is either a 0 or the 0.5% per hour for Mastering Biology. So notice that Monday, today, the 15th, there's nothing due. The first thing that is due is the Mastering Biology on Wednesday. So again, all of the due dates are at 11:59 p.m. So by Wednesday at midnight, you need to have gotten into Mastering Biology, done the introduction, done chapter 1 introduction. The lab module that you should do today is not due until Thursday. But when should you do it? Today. Now, what if you don't get it done by Thursday? You will get 0 points. Okay? So it is critical that you stay up with things. And again, most of the labs are already posted. There's one that's missing that I'm still working on. The Master in Biology up until the first test are already posted. So if you want to get a head start on things, if you've got a busy weekend and you don't want to have to do something on Sunday night, that's fine. You really should have done it last Thursday. Okay? So these are the due dates. These are in red at the top here. Those are super critical. If you don't get them in on time, the penalties are somewhat severe. So again, this is the recommended schedule. This is what you should be striving for. But if you're a day or two late from this, it often won't be a penalty. You look at this. Now, sometimes right before the test, the amount of time we have to give you as a buffer becomes less. So do make sure that you keep up with the material. All right, so everything I've talked about so far, you can do whenever you like. If you're a morning person, you can get up at 5 in the morning and do it. If you're a night owl, you can stay up till 3 in the morning and do it. It doesn't matter. But there are 6 things that you must do as a group at the same time, and those are the exams. And those are highlighted in teal here. So the first test is next Tuesday, the 23rd. Everyone needs to take this test at 10:30 a.m. You will be given one chance and one block of time that will be limited. So you won't have an infinite amount of time to do this test. So you must be able to get on, have a secure internet connection that's going to not fail you Tuesday the 23rd at 10:30 a.m. Okay, so that's pretty important. The first lab test is July 2nd, and then we have another test on July 7th. We have another test on July 16th. The lab final is July 21st, and then the final for the entire course is on the last day of class, the 23rd. Okay? So those are the only things that must be done synchronously. You must be present online to take these at that time. Question about Zoom meetings. So Zoom meetings will be scheduled as necessary. My thought was to have a Zoom meeting roughly about once a week just to answer questions in person if you need to. So I will probably have a Zoom session this Thursday just to address any issues or comments or questions that people have. So that kind of depends upon you. So what I'm not going to do is to go over the lectures again, right? I'm not going to deliver the lectures a second time. The lectures are already posted. But if you want some review, if you want to ask some questions to clarify the material that's in there, if there's something you weren't getting, that's what those Zoom sessions will be for. So those are optional. It's just like today's Zoom session was optional. Probably informative, but not required. If you don't show up, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now, in the past, when Professor Hoffman and I have shared this course, I have been present in the lectures in the lab for half of the class. He's been present in the other half. But since this is all virtual, it's all online, we will both be present for the majority of the course. Now, in the past, I have taken the first 3 weeks and he's taken the last 3 weeks. So if you have a question, please address it to both of us during the first 3 weeks. I will probably respond to you sooner than he will, although he's better at it than I am. He checks his email more frequently than I do, especially on weekends, because I often am not here on the weekends, although I do check my email occasionally. So if possible, ask your questions Monday through Thursday, but we will still respond to questions in a somewhat timely manner on the weekends. It might just take a little bit longer to get back to you, okay? So Zoom meetings are not every day for lecture. They're not every day for lab. Everything is already posted for you in the modules. You can do these asynchronously as you want. The only thing that is synchronous are the highlighted lecture and lab exams. Suggested calendar, I'm in the syllabus. Okay, so this is the syllabus that was already sent out to you by email, and this is also found, I'll show you where it is again. Important course information, there it is, there's your syllabus. So calendars are in the syllabus.
Hey, Rick, let me interject a couple things.
Yeah, please.
So when you have the exams, they all start at 10:30 a.m. And let's say, for instance, you have an hour to do the exam. It's going to close at 11:30, which means you have to start. So if you start at 10:40, you're not going to get the full hour. You're going to get only 50 minutes. So make sure you're logged in, ready to go, and start those exams right at 10:30. Otherwise, you'll be cheated out of time, because once the test is due, it's going to be due. You're not going to get the extra time if you start a little bit late. So make sure you're ready to go for those. And a lot of the important course information can link not only from the modules, but also from the first page. But I think learning how to use modules is really going to help you navigate the course. And it's not that difficult once you kind of see how it's laid out. So learning how to get those modules set up and working the way you want is good. And again, I can't emphasize enough what Dr. G said about the course calendar. Make a course calendar, and you might want to, whether it's on the phone, print out a hard copy, make your own calendar and copy it. But whatever it is, make sure you stay up with that stuff, because you're working on class stuff probably 20 hours a week, along with studying as well. And so staying up with it, if you get behind, it's just going to be so hard to catch up, because summer goes so fast. So I can't emphasize the calendar enough.
Yeah, so this is definitely what you want to be paying attention to, okay? And then obviously the due dates, you want to pay attention to that as well. There was a question about mastering biology, which is crucial. If it asks you for a course ID, you are in the wrong place. You cannot purchase the Mastering Biology product through Pearson directly and have us see what you've done. The only way this works is to go into Canvas and then go into My Lab and Mastering. It will not ask you for a course ID. If you go directly to the Pearson publisher, then it will ask you for a course ID. I don't have that, because our course is using what they call modified Mastering Biology, which means that the Mastering Biology is integrated into Canvas. So step 1, to get Mastering Biology, go into Canvas. Step 2, click on My Lab and Mastering. Step 3, either hit the Open My Lab and Mastering or hit Mastering Assignments and follow the instructions from there. But do not go through the Pearson publisher directly, okay? So if you go to Pearson.com or whatever their website is, you are in the wrong place. Step 1, go to Canvas. And then from there, you're in the right place. Okay?
So, hi, this is Blue again.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went through that through the Canvas to Mastering My Lab and Mastering.
Mm-hmm.
And it brought me to an option to either just use an access code or
You don't have an access code unless you bought the book in the bookstore new.
Okay, so then
Which I doubt you did, because that's not a cost-effective option. But some people might want that. But
okay, so then it only gives the option to buy the code.
Correct.
So that's the one that we want to do for the 7420.
74. It should only be about $50 if you get it just as is. The 74 one probably would come with the e-text, but you don't need that because you have the OpenStax book.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It should only cost you
Yeah, it's
It should
47.
be slightly less than $50, like $48 or $49. So call it $50, but it should only cost you $50 for this
Yes,
one.
it's 47.80 without the
There we
e-test.
go.
Okay, great.
So
Thank
that's what you should be getting for the Master in Biology. You must get the lab manual. That's $9.99 or $10. So your out-of-pocket cost for this course will be as low as $60. We can't do any better than that. I'm sorry, because the Master in Biology product costs $50. That's what they charge. And that's actually a deal that we've cut with them. It's usually a little bit more than that. So, if it's taking you to the Pearson website, I'm not sure how it's getting you to the Pearson website. It should just be asking you to sign up. Okay, so don't go to the Pearson website directly. If it redirects you from within Canvas, then it's probably okay.
Professor?
Yes.
Hi, this is Laís. I just have a question about the lab manual that we got online too on Amazon from the link that you guys sent to us.
Yep.
So I found the quizzes. So the only quizzes we're gonna answer, they're the ones that are on Canvas, right? Not the ones that is on the Kindle. I mean, on the paper that you guys gave to us.
So the lab manual that you have through Amazon on Kindle, it does not have quizzes. It has review questions. Okay.
Okay.
You see there's a little difference there?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. I highly, highly recommend that you read through the lab manual as well as the module and answer those questions. But that's just going to be for your information. That's preparation for the actual quiz.
Okay.
Okay. Now, can you use the answers that you wrote down while you were doing the module on the quiz? Yes, you can.
Okay.
So
yeah.
you see why I highly recommend that you answer those as you're doing the modules.
Yeah, it makes totally sense. I was just wondering because I saw that there's like some options or like some space to fill it out in the manual.
Correct.
And I was wondering if we have to turn it in or something like that.
No. So that manual was designed with a face-to-face meeting.
That's what I thought.
Okay, so.
Thank you, Professor.
Exactly. So we just made it available in a digital form so that you could use it. So yes, it was definitely designed for face-to-face, but we need to adapt it for using it online.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So none of the lab manual will be collected. However, it is essential that you get the lab manual for two reasons. It's got lots of information in it that you will need, and some of the quiz questions that you're taking through the modules, some of the quiz questions ask you to refer to a certain page and answer a question from the lab book. If you don't have the lab book, you can't do that, right? So it may say, look at figure 3 on page whatever and answer this question. Well, if you don't have the lab book to look at figure 3, you're probably going to get that question wrong. So it is essential that you get the lab manual. It is essential that you get My Lab in Mastering. And then I highly recommend you get the OpenStax textbook as well. There's no cost for that one, though. That one's free.
To follow up, sort of what was implied in that question is the physical lab manual that you can get from the bookstore and either pick up or get shipped to you, which is about, what, $50 or something?
No, it's high 20s, I think.
Okay.
I thought they charge a lot for shipping.
Yeah. The has places to write the information in. If you have the Kindle version, the electronic version, you want to keep a notebook probably that is very clearly outlined about what you're looking at and when you're answering questions and drawing pictures or doing whatever. So when you have an exam on the quiz on the lab, you might have 10 questions and 10 minutes to finish it. So you don't have time to look through your notes. You want to have all that nice and neat. So I recommend that if you're using especially the Kindle version, to keep a notebook and just sequentially do everything, but number it and letter it and even reference the page numbers to make sure that you can find it very easily. But by doing the information in the end of each little section that it asks you to do, you're going to be much better prepared for the lab quizzes and ultimately the lab tests, that you have two major ones, one after each, about the first half of the semester, and then one towards the end. So that's going to really help your preparation for that. And not everything in the book, the lab book, is going to be asked for necessarily in the lab. Some of it we've changed a little bit for the remote nature of it, as kind of Dr. Jelinas indicated, but the vast majority of it will be doing some of it, and some of it changed because of the videos that we filmed or other things. So you need to follow along each module, but in the vast majority of cases, you're going to reference the lab book as well. And so you need both. And so make sure you keep a nice record of those things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in fact, when I said here's what you absolutely have to get, I think I would add to that list what Professor Hoffman said, and that is a notebook that you can keep your notes in, because you will need to have that organized, because you are given limited time on the actual quizzes. Although they are open note, you won't have an infinite amount of time, so you should have that organized and ready to go. Okay. If you're having a hard time seeing your course, you need to go to, where is it? It's this one, isn't it? No, it's the dashboard.
I got a question. Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
You may have already mentioned it, but we need the homework in order to do the homework. We need the master of biology and OpenStax.
So mastering biology is the online homework. You must get that. There are assignments, they're worth points. Without it, you can't do it. The OpenStax is a free textbook. Do you see the difference?
Yeah. So the Open MyLab and Mastering.
MyLab and Mastering is how you access what we call mastering biology. I'm not sure why they call it MyLab and Mastering, because they call the product Mastering Biology. Right, so welcome to Mastering Biology. So Mastering Biology is the online homework. That's what's going to cost you about $50 to register for. Okay. The OpenStax is the online textbook, and that is available either online or a PDF was posted on Canvas. So this is already available for you on Canvas.
Okay, so when we register on Pearson, we just pay for it right there.
Correct. Correct. So when you are registering for the MyLab and Mastering, or the Mastering Biology, you go into Canvas, you click on MyLab and Mastering, and you pay for it right there. So you just sign up, pay for it, and you are set to go. The OpenStax, there's nothing to pay for. It's just a free PDF of the textbook.
Yeah, so we get the 6th edition.
You could get that if you like, but personally, I think the OpenStax is a well-written textbook, and the cost is right. If you ask me, it's free. So I would not purchase, if it were me, I would not purchase the 6th edition of Campbell's Essential Biology with Physiology. I would just purchase the Mastering Biology Access. Let me see if I can explain it a little bit differently. Different publishers publish different textbooks, And the publisher that publishes the Campbell's Essential Biology with Physiology has an associated homework, online homework that they call Mastering Biology or My Lab in Mastering, but it works fine without the textbook. You do not need to purchase the textbook in order to use their online homework. And that's certainly the cheaper way to go. Just register for and pay the $50 for the access to their online homework. You don't need to purchase their book to do that. Did that clarify it?
Yeah.
Okay.
One other thing, if you want a physical copy of the OpenStax book, so if you want a hardcover or soft cover, on the syllabus we did link to the Amazon site, or you can just type in OpenStax Concepts in Biology in Amazon, and it'll give you some options. You can download a Kindle version for free there if you prefer to have both versions. You know, if you've got the lab manual on Kindle, you can have the textbook on Kindle, or you can order a physical copy if you want as well. So it depends on how you want it. So you don't just need to use the electronic version of either the textbook or the lab manual. You can get physical copies if you prefer, but the cheapest way to go would be the PDF version of the OpenStax Concepts in Biology, or the Kindle version, the $10 Kindle version of your lab manual, and then the $48, $9, whatever it was, of the Fundamentals of Biology. Sorry, the $48 of the Mastering Biology. So for about $60, which is really good for a biology class. We've made it as cheap as possible. You can have all the materials, but if you prefer something different, go for it.
Hi, I don't want to sound redundant, but so the lab manual is it's just, what is the title of the lab manual? Because I'm on Amazon and I can't find it.
Fundamentals of Biology by some guy named Rick Gelinas.
Name, say again.
Me, Rick Gelinas.
Oh, okay. All right, hold on.
Yeah, so you got a good deal here, because the guy that wrote the book is your teacher. So I think he pretty knows a lot about it, pretty much. Yeah, so just Fundamentals of Biology, and on Amazon. And again, there's a link in the syllabus as well.
I was going to say, if you go to the syllabus, there's a direct link to it.
So we only need OpenStax for our homework.
The OpenStax is just the textbook. That's not the homework. Mastering Biology is the homework.
Now, will this work on without a Kindle? It should work on a Chromebook, correct?
I don't know. Do you know, James?
You'll need to download the Kindle app for your Chromebook. So it must be read on a Kindle app to use the Kindle version, but they have a Kindle app, I think, for literally every device ever invented. So you can read it on a computer, but you'll need a Kindle app. Your phone, you'll need the Kindle app, a Chromebook, an iPad, whatever it is, any other tablet. But you have to get the Kindle app in order to read it.
Okay.
And I see Ash just posted the link for everybody on the chat, so thank you for posting it in another place.
The only way to get on Pearson is to buy the book.
Nope. That's not true. Go into Canvas, hit My Lab in Mastering, and hit either Open My Lab in Mastering or go to Mastering Assignments, and then buy it without the book. Just buy access to Mastering Biology. You do not need the textbook with it.
There should be an option to purchase without the e-text.
Yeah. Choose the option that's less than $50 and you'll get the right thing. But you have to go through Canvas. If you go directly to Pearson, you're not getting the right thing. So go into Canvas first and then hit My Lab in Mastering, and then either the Mastering Assignments or Open My Lab in Mastering.
Yeah, so it's telling me to buy two different versions of the book. One that's 74.20 or one that is 47.80.
Buy the one that's 47.80. You will not get a textbook with that, but you won't need it because you'll have the open stack. They are offering you two products. One is access to the homework, Mastering Biology. That's the 47.80. The $74 one is they give you that same access, but they also give you access to the textbook and the open stacks. And number two, if you look at the chat, someone